We are the oral cancer capital of the world.
We are the capital of the world.
Yes, for oral cancer. And there's a data that says by 2030, 1 in 9 people will have cancer in India.
One in 9 people will have cancer in India.
Yes, so it's a ticking time bomb that we want to diffuse. What we are trying to do here at Biomark IQ is trying to diffuse this bomb by, having technologies much ahead in place when the epidemic or the disease hits.
Using blood.
Yes.
Is it as simple as getting the blood test done?
No, it is not as simple. Reason being, in the blood test, you get they check your one molecule. For example, they check your thyroid hormone and they say, hey, you are having thyroid issues, right? Cancer is a complex system. So there are multiple proteins that you have to detect in the lungs all at once. So what we do is, for a user, it is just taking out the blood test. So we take out your blood, we go in our lab, we check multiple markers in that, then we have a machine learning algorithm at the back end.
What is this HPV? If you could tell my audience in the term which they understand, and how important is that?
HPV is human papilloma virus. Okay. A lot of cervical cancer is associated with HPV infections, repetitive HPV infections. Now for this, we have vaccines available, as I said, in the hospitals, right? Good thing in US and other developed nations is that they won't renew your insurance if you do not have the HPV vaccination.
They do not renew the insurance?
Yes, I was in the US and I got to know that they would not renew your insurance, and if you are not going through routine screening, they would not renew your insurance. But here in India, we are still not aware. So HPV, if you take HPV vaccinations, a lot of chances of cervical cancer can be prevented. Similarly, there is hepatitis B virus, which causes hepatocellular carcinoma. The vaccination for HBV is also present in the hospitals, and all of us should take it. So these are two things that you can go to your nearby hospital and get it right.
Hello and welcome to my channel Unheard Tales, where I bring stories which are often untold, journeys which are worth talking about, and some ideas which can change the world completely. This episode today is incredibly close to my heart. The reason being, this is a topic which I think and I believe that each one of us are associated to, directly or indirectly. The topic which we are going to today talk about is none other than cancer. Now, this is something people in general doesn't want to talk about it, thinking sometimes in fear, sometimes being skeptical that should not happen to them or their near ones. And they start researching about the topic once some unfortunate incident gets detected. Now, what if I tell you this cancer could be detected much before when it becomes dangerous to you? What if I tell you that detecting stage 1 cancer will no longer be something you accidentally stumble upon? So today on this show, we have our guest, Dr. Snehlata Singh, who is an entrepreneur, she is an innovator, and also a change maker. She's the founder of Biomark IQ. So welcome on my show, ma'am.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you for having me here.
It is a great pleasure to have you here because the discussion which we are going to have today will be very, life-changing for everybody, all my listeners. So the first thing I would like to ask you, that when you started Biomark IQ, what idea, made you think about detecting cancer so early?
Being a cancer researcher for over a decade, like I was already working in cancer biology and precisely in precision medicine. So we were working for a corporate firm, and there my teammate's father, he died of an unknown lung disease, which was speculated to be cancer, but it was so late detected that we could not even get time to, diagnose him properly. And she and me, Dr. Manasika Hasnes, who is my co-founder, then we thought that this is something that is happening not to her family, but to many people around the globe. And this is something that we can solve using our cancer biology background. So we founded Biomarker IQ, and we started with first cancer that we picked up was lung cancer, because in lung cancer there's an AIMS daily data that shows that more than 95% of lung cancer patients get diagnosed at advanced stages.
So, Sneha ma'am, here before we get into more technical things, to my audience, I would just like to let them know what are the different types of cancer which a human can go through.
If you talk about cancer, cancer is not specifically one, it is almost hundreds of types, right? Depending on the organ, depending on your histology. So there are many technical terms that you can get into, and there are multiple classifications that could be. Most simplified one is organ type, we say, right? For example, blood cancer, lung cancer, ovarian cancer, and breast cancer. So there are almost more than 100 types of cancers.
Like according to the statistics, which is the most common cancer which happens to a people?
In India, breast cancer is the most common one.
In India, breast cancer is
yes,
common.
the breast cancer is most common one. Then we have cervical cancer, we have lung cancer, and we have oral cancer. Oral cancer, you would be surprised to know, in spite of having so many screening technologies available, we are the oral cancer capital of the world.
We are the capital of the world.
Yes, for oral cancer. And there's a data that says by 2030, 1 in 9 people will have cancer in India.
One in 9 people will have cancer in India.
Yes, so it's a ticking time bomb that we want to diffuse. What we are trying to do here at Biomarker IQ is trying to diffuse this bomb by, having technologies much ahead in place when the epidemic or the disease hits. So in COVID, you would have seen that, once COVID hit, we started our science we started vaccine preparation then, and it claimed a lot of life. So what is required right now is that before this, these speculations of 1 in 9 people having cancer based on the data, not speculation merely, but once it becomes a truth, we need to have things in place that we would use to.
And I think it is incredibly great to know that there is a research going on and there is already a technology in place which helps you detect the cancer early.
Correct.
Now, just for my audience, because we'll come to that technology very soon, but before that, I would like to know that how can someone as an individual, how do we come to know that these are the symptoms which I should start going get a screening done? The first thing here is, like, if anything happens to us, even a fever or even a, say, wound or a cut, we start researching it over the internet. And everything you research over internet, I think some or the other way, it links to a cancer. And then there are two aspects to it, which I have seen as a common person, that either you start, using your mindfulness that, oh, this is not a cancer, maybe this is something, you don't get fearful, but you act smartly to it. And then there are people who get over panicked and they start calculating that there's a cancer. What are the early symptoms which should not be ignored by anyone? And that is like 100% a sign that you are tending towards cancer and should start detecting.
In different kinds of cancer, because it affects different kinds of organs, right? If your lungs are affected, you would have coughing, but if it's a breast cancer, you will not have coughing as your symptom. Rather, you will have a lump in your breast that you can detect. So symptoms vary for different cancers, and more than often, they coincide with other symptoms that you might have. For example, if it is a coughing, not necessarily it's going to be a lung cancer. It could be a TB, it could be a sarcoidosis, it could be a COPD, anything it could be, right? So the most important thing is to not get panicked and go to a certified physician to understand that what is happening. And B, you need to prepare yourself and be mindful of what all technologies are there that you can immediately go and confirm. For example, if you are observing a lump in your breast, there is no need to sit down and wait. You can just go to your nearest diagnostic center, get a mammogram done, and rule that out. So there are things that are available. If there is some symptom for the cervical cancer, it takes a day to get your report. So go to someone who has the experience, who has the knowledge. Do not Google your symptoms.
And then I think doctors are there to guide you and suggest you that you should go for a cancer test or not. If directly you don't have to jump to a cancer screening place, but you can switch to a doctor And if they recommend, then you can go for further tests.
Correct.
Now coming to our biomark IQ technology, we know that in market already mammography and biopsy is already there for detecting
Right,
cancer.
right.
Then how is your technology different, and how does it detect it early than these screening tests?
So that's a very good question, actually. And I would like to come to mammography or breast cancer, but let's start with lung cancer
Yeah.
so as to go sequentially. So we started with lung cancer, and the screening technology that is currently recommended by NCCN, which is National Comprehensive Cancer Network, is low dose CT scan. Okay. So CT scan is something that they recommend for detection of early nodules. Now CT is has a lot of side effect in terms of there is a lot of radiation attached to it, correct? It doesn't become a go-to choice for repetitive screening. So for example, if someone is over the age of 50 and they have a smoking history, 20 pack history, they become high risk for lung cancer, right? And now if we have to screen them every 6 months using CT, in a country like India, it is very costly because CT, along with its interpretation, goes anywhere around 10,000 to 15,000.
10,000 to 15,000.
Yes, and then it exposes the person to a lot of radiation, which is again not good. What we found the gap here is that CT is not available in rural areas as well. So with the cost, with the availability, and with the kind of radiation exposure that it is giving, it should not be our go-to technology, right? And apart from that, biopsy is usually done, and biopsy is a confirmatory test. So what I mean by confirmatory is that once you do biopsy, there shouldn't be a need for any other test to say that it is lung cancer. But biopsy means getting inside your body, and it's a sort of surgery, right? You take out the tissue. That creates a lot of fear in the mind of people, and then it could have complications also.
It can have complications,
Right,
in terms of
biopsy.
does it make them go weaker, and does it aggravate the situation?
No, but it's like you are incising a tissue from the lung, right? As any operation that could go wrong, that also biopsy also is prone to going wrong by, there is a surgery happening in your lung. Like they take a tube inside and then they incise a sample and then take it out. So biopsy cannot be ruled out by any screening technology, but it should not be unnecessary. Biopsy should be avoided. For that, we found the gap that, okay, this is where we want to place a test that tells the doctor that, hey, now you need to go for biopsy and you need to confirm. So as to avoid unnecessary biopsy. So that is where we are placed as biomark IQ.
So now when we are talking about the cost and also the radiation which people have to go through, then how is the technology which you use far better and protective for people not going for a radiation? Because I know you are not using the radiation and people avoid that part. So what exactly is that?
What we are trying to do is detect cancer using blood.
Using blood?
Yes.
Is it as simple as getting the blood test done?
No, it is not as simple. Reason being, in the blood test, you get they check your one molecule. For example, they check your thyroid hormone and they say, hey, you are having thyroid issues, right? Cancer is a complex system. So there are multiple proteins that you have to detect in the lungs all at once. So what we do is, for a user, it is just taking out the blood test. So we take out your blood, we go in our lab, we check multiple markers in that, then we have a machine learning algorithm at the back end.
Machine learning algorithm.
Yes, that computes that, okay, if X is at a particular concentration, Y is at a particular concentration, Z is at a particular concentration, this trend or this pattern could be, indicative of cancer.
And now when you're saying that you are using blood sample and biopsy, if we talk about biopsy is taking that sample from that particular organ or that particular area. Now you're taking blood. So how is that possible that from the blood sample you can detect all the organ cancer? And blood cancer obviously you can detect from blood, but then what about the other specific cancers? How can that be detected from blood?
Right. So have you used QR codes for payment in different mode of transport or cafes or everywhere, right?
Yes.
So if you see QR code from a naked eye, can you differentiate between different QR codes? No, right? So similar proteins are in our blood. So blood for me and you through our naked eyes, it's same, right? But once you understand that what are the different proteins, they all have different QR codes. So we are trying to
every
make
organ
those.
protein is different.
Yeah, some overlap, some are different. So basically, you can create a QR code for different kinds of cancer. So what we are trying to do is we have created the QR code for lung cancer, and we are trying to do it for multiple cancers now.
So now when you are talking about protein and carbohydrates is also one of the thing I have heard that
Correct.
if you're suffering from cancer or if you want to prevent cancer, that carbohydrate is something you should cut down or sugar you should
Right.
control. Then what if someone is not having cancer? Then what are the things one should avoid doing or should start doing in order to avoid this cancer?
That's a great question. So just last year, AACR, which is American Association for Cancer Research, published its reports, and it said that 40% of all the cancers in the US were preventable.
40% were preventable.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Yeah. So there are multiple risk factors. For example, smoking. Then you have alcohol. Then you have bad diet, basically rich in all the trans fats and stuff. And then there are virus-induced cancers, for example, cervical cancer or liver cancers, for which vaccines are already there. So it could have been avoided. So there are multiple preventive factors that can be taken into account so as not to have cancer. But at the same time, I would like to tell what Bert Vogelstein, he's a great scientist of our time, and he said in 2015 that cancer could be a disease of bad luck. So
even disease of bad luck.
So even if you avoid all the preventive, all the risk factors, there is a chance that you might get cancer, and that is why it's such a complex disease, right? So we have been doing research for 60, 70 years or more than it now.
So is it also, so one thing I would like to ask on behalf of my audience, when we are talking about cancer, we are talking about lifestyle, we are talking about diet and some preventive actions like lifestyle things like smoking, alcohol can be prevented. Now I would like to ask, is it also hereditary at times? Because sometimes I have observed that mom had a cancer, now the son is suffering from a cancer, maybe a different type of cancer, but it does happen.
Correct.
So is that true?
Yes, so cancer could be genetic, and in many of the cancers, we do see a high risk of hereditary cancers, such as colon cancer. It is a lot of people have hereditary colon cancers, and in breast and ovarian cancers also, we do see a lot of it coming through hereditary. Yes. So that is why there are genetic risk assessment, hereditary risk assessment that are being done by genetic counselors that they do. And what they do is they basically make your family tree, who had cancer, which type of cancer it was. And then if any biopsy report is available, they can find out what kind of mutation was there. And if that mutation is hereditary, for example, BRCA1, BRCA2 mutations are there that are hereditary. So then there's a high chance that the child might also get it. So at a definite period of time, for example, if it is breast cancer, by 25 or so, if I'm not wrong, they start screening the person.
So now I think, let me tell the audience, after 25 years of age, I think you should start having, at least in the annual check, you should start including two things. I think one is the mammography you can start doing. And then also there is a swab test which a woman goes through after, I think, 30.
Especially after 35, you should have mammogram and the swab test for cervical cancer. So these two cancers, the non-invasive detection. When I say non-invasive, what I mean is that you don't have to get inside the body, like in biopsy, or radiation free. So mammogram and our swab test is already there, but why we are not taking is because we do not have the awareness around it. So cervical cancer, this is very unfortunate that even with the tests available, we have a lot of people even dying due to cervical cancer.
Now coming back to somehow the previous question, where I was asking that now that we know that it could be so easily detected using the blood, for us it is just giving a blood for sample for testing, but for them there is a technology behind which they use to test. Now how do we come to know that now is the time I should go for a biomark screening done?
Right.
So what is that? I would say two things I want to know. One is the age, which is more prone to have cancer, which has most cancer. And second, when is the right time to go for at least an early screening with you?
There is an organization called as National Cancer comprehensive network. So what it does is NCCN, it provides the guidelines for even medical oncologists and everyone, that when should they screen the patients. So for our own awareness, we should go to NCCN website and read about when we are more prone or when we will qualify for screening for a particular kind of cancer. For example, in lung cancer, if someone is above the age of 50, if they have a smoking history of more than 20 packs per year, and then there are occupational hazards and genetic history. So if those are the criteria that are being met, that means that person after the age of 50 should go for lung cancer screening. Yes. Similarly, we have guidelines for different cancers as well. So that's the most authentic, or so to say, 2-point website where you can get the data when one should go for screening and one should not. Do not rely on random news articles and random websites.
I think that was so helpful and much needed for all of us to know where is the right place we should go and search for it. So the detail of NCCN which she is talking about is in the description link. Please visit the website and find out when is the right time you should go for screening or not. And then the second thing which she's saying, that after 50, you should not wait for symptoms to come in. You should get a screening like a regular checkup. You should go and get yourself tested, and same is for the woman, which she has already been saying. What are the lifestyle changes you already said, and that is a place where the world is talking about being healthy, living healthy. We are seeing multiple content around it, but still there is something which is getting ignored. So if you have to tell my audience tips or some life-changing thing which they should start adapting, not for themselves but for also the kids and family,
Right.
then what is that?
I'm so glad that you brought it up. So it's not only for themselves but even for their families, right? So passive smoking is also linked to cancer. So if you are smoking, you are exposing yourself as well as your family to the likelihood of having this disease. Smoking, first of all, just let it go. There is very interesting research in the last few decades coming up link between being overweight or being obese and having the risk of developing cancer. So a body mass index of something between 20 to 25 is necessary for you to have a healthy life. So smoking, cutting down on your body weight if it is in excess, then alcohol consumption, taking the vaccines. HPV vaccine is there. Cervical cancer vaccine is already in the hospitals nearby you. So we should just go and take them. Then adhering to the vaccination of children also. So that is something that is completely preventable. Mammogram is everywhere, that is present. So these are some of the factors that we should take into considerations while planning a healthy life.
I'd like to know one thing from the list of recommendation. I would like to know about HPV, vaccination, because I think that is something not everybody knows about it, and I think it is something which is, I think, taken very seriously abroad. I think
Yes.
teenagers are also getting it, but in India we are not even have started talking about HPV.
Right.
So, and I think this was one of the vaccination which Sudha Murthy ji had requested our Indian government to bring this up, make it compulsory for all the girls and ladies to come bring this up. So, ma'am, as you know that I am more focused on more on women-centric things. So, I would like to know, what is this HPV? If you could tell my audience in the term which they understand, and how important is that?
HPV is human papilloma virus. Okay. A lot of cervical cancer is associated with HPV infections, repetitive HPV infections. Now for this, we have vaccines available, as I said, in the hospitals, right? Good thing in US and other developed nations is that they won't renew your insurance if you do not have the HPV vaccination.
They do not renew the insurance.
Yes, I was in the US and I got to know that they would not renew your insurance, and if you are not going through routine screening, they would not renew your insurance. But here in India, we are still not aware. So HPV, if you take HPV vaccinations, a lot of chances of cervical cancer can be prevented. Similarly, there is hepatitis B virus, which causes hepatocellular carcinoma. The vaccination for HBV is also present in the hospitals, and all of us should take it. So these are two things that you can go to your nearby hospital and
get
it.
right. Two things I feel as a common man has got a fear of not taking vaccination. One is they are either not aware of it, or they do not know importance of it, and they do not know how to get it, which you resolve that. Every hospital now has it. It's just that we are not aware of it.
Right.
And now that we are creating awareness, so we are expecting that you start at least finding out what this is.
Right.
For this topic also, I'll be posting a link in my description box. You can go and check out that link and know more about HPV. The other thing which I think people are scared of is shelling of money, because in India, our healthcare is not taken care by government. It is something which we bear, and sometimes it is expensive, so people do not take it. So if we have to tell them like how much is the pricing of that HPV vaccination or something, can you tell that to audience?
I think it is somewhere around 3,000.
Only 3,000 rupees.
Yeah.
Oh. And
that
is that like we see some vaccinations are taken in some regular interval, like you take once in a year, or say after 2 years again you will have to renew it, retake it. So is that the case, or is it just one vaccine you take one time in life?
HPV vaccine is taken usually twice or thrice. There is an age criteria for this, which your doctor would be able to give you precise information. I believe it is before the age of 15. If you are taking, there are 2 doses. If after that, there would be 3 doses. But again, go with your practitioner, what he is suggesting. And there is a span of 2-3 months in which you will have to take these doses, and then there will not be no booster dose would be required for later.
Sneha ma'am, before ending this podcast, I would not like to end this podcast here, because it was wonderful having you here and talking about this topic, which is the need of the hour. I would say everybody needs to get aware of it. Even talking for like I think 2-3 hours is also lesser than the topic, which is so wide and so vast to talk about. So keeping that time in mind, if we have to conclude here, what is that one thing which you'd like to tell the audience and also to the entire world with regards to cancer? What would that be?
Cancer is curable if detected early. All you need to do is be vigilant and detect it early. That is all is needed. It is very much curable with the advancements, with the medical and scientific advancements that we have. All kinds of cancers are curable. Just detect them early.
And one more thing I would like you to talk about. This was something for people who have not gone through that phase. But one thing, if you want to say for those people who are suffering from cancer, what would that be? A message.
Along with medication, it is your strength that will make you go through this journey. Do not lose hope. Do not lose your fight. Do not lose your mental space to fight against this. And we are all with you. And if you need any kind of assistance, please reach out to us at biomarkiq.com.
It was such a wonderful conversation. And I think it is very insightful for me there, because I got to know many things which I was not aware of. And I think it is same for my audience who has now known many facts about cancer. And this is a topic I think we lose, like every family loses somebody or the other, maybe in the direct family, immediate family, or somewhere in the friend's family. So this is a topic I would like everybody to share with all the audience. If you're liking this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. That is one thing. But before this, I would say that you share this content with everybody, just to create an awareness that this is something, a need of the hour, which everybody, men, women, children, everybody needs to know and talk about it. Why? Because this is not something to get scared of, but you need to know that there is a prevention, and now there is a detection which can help you in detecting it as early as stage 1 cancer, which is a tremendously, I would say, a very magical thing which is being done by a Biomark IQ team. So please visit their website, get your screening done and get yourself tested. Thank you so much for watching us.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you for having me here.